So I made a video on this channel about 6 months ago, and you go look it up. It was called something like "Starting a Social Life on Self-Improvement," and it was just about this kind of thing of how people get into self-improvement and they tend to become quite lonely, because they sort of prioritize things that makes it difficult for people to hang around with them. That people feel less willing to do the stuff that they're doing. And this is rather sad. And it's kind of bittersweet getting on self-improvement because you get onto all these good habits. You're going to the gym, you're meditating, you're working on a business, whatever it is, but you leave behind a lot, and you leave behind a lot of friends that don't want to do that stuff, basically, who want to just go to the pub or want to I don't know, just do things that you don't really want to do anymore because you realise there's more to life, and our time on this earth is so goes so quickly, and we need to make the most of it, and it's a really difficult problem. And I just talked about this issue and kind of how lonely it can be in self-improvement. But looking back on it, I think I didn't really do a good job at properly diagnosing the problem. Basically, what I said in the video is, I think I diagnosed the problem quite well, but I didn't really give much of a solution. Basically, what I said, just to summarise the video, is I said, when I started getting on self-improvement, I felt very lonely because I didn't meet many friends. I wasn't really socialising very much. Therefore, and the solution is just make time for friendships. And I think this is an okay solution, but I think it ignores the heart of the issue, and it ignores the significance of getting into self-improvement in the first place. A lot of time recently, when I've put lots of active effort into forcing myself to go to social occasions, even if I don't 100% think that it's the right thing to do. Even if I slightly don't want to, even if I slightly feel, I'd rather do something else, I'd rather, do some sort of esoteric self-improvement related thing like these YouTube videos or whatever. But I kind of thought, no, it's good to go to these events, let's just do it anyway, and just kind of do the kind of stuff that is, typical, socialising stuff that you do. But the trouble is, I've often felt like I've got back from these events and I don't really feel glad that I went. And that's a significant thing, and you want to look out for this in self-improvement because it's very easy to just force yourself to do stuff that you don't actually thank yourself for doing. I think the key with self-improvement is you want to discipline yourself to do stuff that is difficult, that's painful. But you want to walk out from that experience being glad that you made yourself do it. Like if you have like a cold plunge in your garden, you look at it and you just think, I don't want to get in. But then you get in, it's extremely painful. Then you get out and you're like, I'm so glad I did that. That was worthwhile. That to me seems like a sort of healthy way to sort of discipline yourself. There's a healthy sort of discipline curve because you're getting it's sort of delayed gratification, right? You're getting the gratification after doing the action. And I think a big trap with self-improvement is you can sometimes fall into something where you're doing the action, but then you don't get the gratification, even though it is, in a sense, it's disciplined, and it's sort of a good habit, and you are using discipline to do it. I realised this about a lot of workouts that I was doing, is that it was taking discipline to do them, just kind of more so typical bodyweight workout, like bodybuilding workouts with just with the aim of kind of a focus on aesthetics and stuff like that. I forced myself to do these workouts because I was like, no, they're good, whatever. But then I'd walk back from the gym and I wouldn't really feel happy with myself for doing these workouts. I was like, I didn't really get that feeling of like, thank God, I'm glad I made myself do that workout. I think the reason for it is because it wasn't truly serving me. in a deeper level. And the workouts I do now, they still require discipline to do them, but they're more in keeping with like what I actually want out of fitness. Like I went to do a workout yesterday, and it was after work. It was a Friday. I had a lot of stuff I wanted to do with this YouTube and stuff like that, and I slightly thought like, oh, can I really be bothered? Is it really worth it? But I was like, no, definitely go. It'll be worth it. And I did it. And I do these kind of, at the moment I'm very focused on stretching. So I was doing kind of stretching exercise on the pull-up bar for like my chest. And I walked out of the gym, and I could feel the difference. I could feel my chest like was much more open, and I could feel the blood kind of going through it. And I was like, oh, thank God I did that. That was really worthwhile. And I think wherever possible, you want to have a clear idea of the delayed gratification when you're getting it. Because the truth is, it's not all an easy ride. But if you're not getting the gratification from going to, let's say going to the gym after you get out of the gym, or while you're in the gym itself, you need to get it from somewhere. You need to know where it's from. Maybe you want to have just a 10 out of 10 aesthetic physique, and you're prepared to get the gratification, further on down the line. But have a clear idea of like why you're doing stuff. Because I think the issue I've fallen into with self-improvement is you just do all these habits, and it doesn't really do anything. I'll give you another example. Meditating. For a long while, I just did the same old meditating routine, and I just wouldn't experience any benefits. But I just kept doing it because I was used to doing it. I thought, no, this is good. This is a good habit to do. But after a while, I was like, no, this just isn't really working anymore. And yeah, I was like, there's no point in me doing this if I'm not seeing the benefits, or if I'm not sure when the benefits are going to happen. And so I just looked into other forms of meditation that are more effective, things like, Wim Hof or journaling. And, it's not really meditation as such, but it provides me what I want to get out of meditation. So there you go. And now I do get the gratification out of it. So anyway, how does all this link to socializing? Well, the point I'm making is that often I've found that it's not as simple as just forcing yourself to go to social events and then you go to a social event and that's just it. You need to set up a kind of positive reinforcement with social events where you're going to them and you're actually happy you've made the effort. I think if you're not walking back from a social event that you went to thinking, oh, I'm so glad I went to that, that was really worthwhile, then there's something you need to improve, basically. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. So I actually think the energy that you want to put into socializing, instead of putting it into just disciplining yourself into going to random social events, full stop, you should focus it on sourcing people who are like-minded and socializing with them. Because what I realised is I've sort of started to talking to a lot of people whose sort of success I want to emulate, doing coaching calls with people, and just trying to reach out to people who I feel like I'm so like-minded with and that I admire and respect and stuff like that. And in a sense, like what I've realised is that is, effectively that's socialising. If I'm doing like a coaching call, obviously I'm paying them for their time, whatever, but I realised that, fundamentally it's a one-on-one conversation, and yet it's a very different setup. I feel very differently about it, and I walk away from these kind of interactions thinking like, that was a good interaction, that was a good experience, I'm glad I made the effort there. And what I've realised is the problem with socialising is if you're doing it with the wrong people, it doesn't really matter, who you're socialising with or like how much you're socialising, you still won't really get the benefits that you want. And so it's much better to just invest your time into finding some kind of social scene where people are just on the same page as you, And obviously I'm not saying ditch every friend that has different like set up to you, who live their life differently, but fundamentally, you want to get people who are on the same page as you, who find enjoyment from doing the same thing as you, and you have quite similar life setup. And that might sound sad, it might sound a bit skeptical or whatever, but when you really look at it, that's how most friendships are predicated on. Most friendships are predicated on, like how many friendships are predicated on like a shared love of football, or, your shared love of like going out. How many friendships at uni did you have that was just like, it was just someone that you met while you were on, you were like going out or partying or whatever, or what other things, or work, or you got to share something in common, and the trouble is you get on self-improvement and you just lose a lot of these normal ties that you might have with people, like or not so much that you lose the old ties, but you gain new ones that are really important to you, like online business, like exercise, and the trouble is you don't really, you'll go back to like socializing and doing the things you used to do with these other people, but you don't really have like that old, you don't really have anyone to share the kind of stuff that you're really interested in at the moment, and you just kind of hide that aspect of your personality. But the truth is, if you had a bunch of people around you who were like genuinely interested in, I don't know, online business or going to the gym or, meditation or like whatever your thing is at the moment, whatever sort of thing you're really invested in, you wouldn't feel like that, and so, granted it's a bit of a skeptical take, but basically, I think the key to improving your social life is just finding people who are similar to you, and the truth is, I think for self-improvement stuff, it is quite hard to do that. I do have a lot of mates who are similar to me in that regard, in that they're very goal-focused, they like all the self-improvement stuff, and I can just like talk to them about that stuff, and it's really good. But it's different to like, I wouldn't say I'm surrounded by that at the moment. I think I want to seek out more of a kind of environment where I'm really surrounded by that. And honestly, I was thinking like, that might literally mean like moving to a different country where this kind of culture is more of a thing. Like I always thought with the expat community in Thailand, you see these people who are sort of digital nomads in Thailand, and I thought like, my social life there, if obviously like it's on social media, whatever, it's a bit exaggerated, but I just thought like, if I went there, my social life would be, I wouldn't have to make myself go to social stuff. It would just be what I'd naturally want to do anyway, and then people would be like along for the ride, that kind of thing. So that's something I've been thinking a lot about. But I think just to sort of summarize this, basically, if you're doing something sociable, like, you want to get that feeling afterwards of like, what a great time that was, and if you walk away from it with a slight feeling of like, it was fun, but I almost rather I worked on something else, that's a sort of bit of a red flag that you're not spending time with the right people, unfortunately. And it's not saying ditch those friends, it's not saying those friends are dickheads, whatever, but it's just saying you got to look out for yourself and find some kind of place where your social needs and desires are better met. And yeah, to be honest, I think it's part of that is like join, maybe, I don't know, fucking off to Thailand and meeting a bunch of digital nomads, but to be honest, I think a lot of it is like just being online and like networking with people online. I do think in this modern world, much though I hate to admit it, I actually think that's a really easy, actionable way to meet people. And it's probably going to be an easier thing for this video. Like, if you want an actionable step, just start reaching out to people online. Like, even if they're like big influencers, you'll be surprised how quickly they get back to you. And 9 times out of 10, nothing will come of it. But who knows? If you make the right connections with people, that might be the start of a really fruitful friendship. And that's so much more worthwhile than just kind of hanging out with someone I met at like a martial arts class who you don't actually have that much in common with apart from martial arts, or like some like the guys at work who you kind of have to pretend to be similar to sort of fit in, you know. That's worth so much more. So I would say, yeah, those two things basically. But apart from that, guys, thanks for watching. I'm taking on some more clients for online coaching at the moment. So if you are interested, be lovely for you to join us. Just top link in the description. And apart from that, yeah, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you in the next one.